Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News. You're with me, Cyril Fonseca. First, we'll take a look at headlines.
President to address UN General Assembly Tuesday evening, New York time. Arjun Mahendran arrives at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. Supreme Court decision on the 20th Amendment to the Constitution to be presented in Parliament today. 20th Amendment passed at the Central Provincial Council. Hurricane Maria batters Dominica as Category 5 storm.
The 72nd General Assembly of the United Nations is set to get underway today at the UN headquarters in New York.
The 72nd General Assembly of the United Nations this year will see the participation of 192 countries. President Maithripala Sirisena is due to address the General Assembly later today in New York time. This will be the third year that President Maithripala Sirisena is addressing the UN General Assembly after taking office. The President will address key issues such as political situation in Sri Lanka and the progress made by the country in achieving peace and reconciliation. On the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, President Maithripala Sirisena is scheduled to hold bilateral discussions with a number of world leaders and is also scheduled to meet the Sri Lankan community living in the United States.
Newsfirst Shamir Rasuldeen join us now from New York with an update.
Under the theme focusing on people striving for peace and a decent life for all on a sustainable planet, the United Nations General Debates featuring heads of states and government representatives will kickstart later today at the UN headquarters in New York. President Maithripala Sirisena will address world leaders at 4 a.m. tomorrow Sri Lankan time, which would also be day one of the 72nd session of the UN General Assembly. The President would also attend a lunch hosted by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. And prior to this, he would meet Shahid Abbasi, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, at the UN headquarters. Incidentally, German Chancellor Angela Merkel, Chinese President Xi Jinping, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will not attend the 72nd session, and representatives of their governments will grace the sessions. The General Assembly is taking place against a backdrop of droughts, floods and hurricanes, including 2 that have ravaged parts of Texas, Florida and the Caribbean in the past few weeks, making climate change one of the most important topics. North Korean missile crisis, dire humanitarian situation in Myanmar and Iran nuclear crisis will top the agenda at today's General Assembly, which will convene under its new Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. I am Shamir Rasuldeen reporting for News First from the UN headquarters in New York, USA.
In local news now, former Central Bank Governor Arjun Mahendran began testifying before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry today. A heavy security presence was seen at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the bond issuance this morning as Arjun Mahendran arrived at the Presidential Commission following summons served on him to appear today.
At the hearing, a new phone recording played at the commission indicated that Arjun Aloysius and Cousin Palisena colluded to bring down rates of the 2026 Treasury bond. The Attorney General revealed a considerable amount of data for 11 months is missing from Arjun Mahendran's mobile phone. The AG sought for an explanation as the period of missing data coincides with the period under examination. The Attorney General's department has suggested Arjun Aloysius and Cousin Palisena colluded to influence the Employees Trust Fund. A full report on today's hearing will be in 9 News tonight on TV1.
The Supreme Court interpretation on the 20th Amendment to the Constitution is scheduled to be tabled in Parliament today. Meanwhile, the Central Provincial Council voted today to pass the proposed 20th Amendment to the Constitution, which creates province to hold all provincial council election on the same day.
The 20th Amendment to the Constitution was passed in the Central Provincial Council with amendments today. 40 councillors voted for the amendment while 9 votes against it. 2 councillors abstained from voting. The 20th Amendment was earlier passed in the Western, North Central, Eastern and Sabaragamuwa provincial councils. However, it was defeated in the Northern, Southern and Uva provincial councils. The Wayamba Provincial Council is yet to vote on the proposed constitutional amendment.
Chief Minister of Southern Provincial Council Shan Vijay Lal De Silva assumed duties as the Provincial Minister of Rural Sports Development and Cultural Affairs.
Veerasumana Veerasinghe earlier occupied the post and was relieved of duty on the 13th of this month. This is the manner in which he vacated the office on the 13th and took a picture of the former president that had hung in his office on the way out. Chief Minister Shan Vijay Lal, who assumed the responsibilities of the office, took steps to replace the empty wall on which the former president's picture hung with a portrait of President Maithripala Sirisena.
Today is day 7 of the strike being conducted by employees of the Ceylon Electricity Board.
The trade unions of the Ceylon Electricity Board decided to continue the ongoing strike action after discussions with the Minister of Labour, WDJ Seniviratna, proved to be unsuccessful. According to the chairman of the CEB Employees Union, Ranjan Jayalal, the strike will continue to be in effect until all demands cited are given solutions in writing. Even though 2 rounds of talks were held between representatives of trade unions and the subject minister yesterday, the discussions proved to be unsuccessful. The employees are demanding that the salary of electrical engineers, which was increased in 2014, considering them as a special team, to be removed, or that their salaries be increased in comparison to the salary increment. Chairman of the Technical Engineering and Management Association, Ajit Munasinghe, said his association had also joined the strike action since midnight yesterday. Media spokesperson to the Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy, Sulakshana Jayawardena, said that the solution to the demands will be handed out in writing today. He added that the distribution of power through the national grid has become encumbrance as a result of the strike. Now, according to our correspondents, the Bibile town faced a power outage last night owing to the CEB strike. Shops in the Bibile town had to close business earlier than usual last night following the outage. Meanwhile, residents of Bakamuna Giritale protested yesterday over the strike conducted by CEB employees.
A meeting was held today to provide compensation to farmers whose cultivations were destroyed as a result of the Uma Oil multi-purpose project. The meeting was held under the auspices of Minister Mahinda Amarweera and Dilan Pereira.
The President and the government has decided not to save themselves by considering the Uma Oya project as one that was commenced by the earlier government, but to accept it as a problem and to provide a solution for it. As a result, we have issued a special cabinet paper and have provided relief measures of various magnitudes. We have commenced a program to provide compensation to houses that were destroyed. We have provided funds to rebuild damaged schools. Up to now, we have provided 163 million rupees in compensation, and we are to give another 100 million soon. We have also allocated funds to help build tanks.
Following safety concerns, the Ministry of Education has taken steps to conduct an island-wide survey on all buildings within school premises. Secretary to the Ministry, Thisaheva Vitana, said the survey are being conducted on school buildings that are over a century old. Secretary Heva Vitana noted that these surveys were reported by safety claims being made to provincial education authorities against such buildings and the lands upon which they are built. Accordingly, the surveys are being carried out by engineers attached to the ministry. Secretary Thisavitana said that the following survey, all buildings will be repaired and rebuilt as required. The Ministry of Wildlife and Sustainable Development has said the Dehwala Zoo will be open to the public for an additional 3 nights a week from this Thursday onwards. Accordingly, the selected areas will be open to the public from 7:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays. According to the Director General of the Department of National Zoological Gardens, Dhammika Malsinghe, nighttime visits would have visitors the opportunity to study the lifestyle and behavior of nocturnal animals. The Department of National Zoological Gardens also requests the public to refrain from using flash photography and photographing animals and to refrain the acting in any manner that would disturb the animals. The department added that the fines would impose on those who act in such a manner during the newly introduced nighttime visits. The police sniffer dog Hero has lived up to his name. Hero successfully led the police to suspects responsible for a robbery in Anuradhapura. A 7-year-old police sniffer dog was able to assist police in identifying 3 suspects connected to the robbery. The suspects are 2 brothers and their friends who live a mere 300 meters away from the shop that was robbed. Operations are underway to recover 350,000 rupees in cash, a stock of gold jewelry and cigarettes that was stolen by the suspects. The driver of a 3-wheeler died in an accident that occurred at a railway crossing on Northern Railway line in Sinnikkulam.
A locomotive engine that was plying from Anuradhapura to Colombo for repairs had hit the 3-wheeler. According to police, the driver of the 3-wheeler, a 21-year-old youth, had died on the spot. Area residents charged that a lack of a gatekeeper at night has resulted in the number of train accidents to increase.